Hi everyone, it's Alisha here from Cosmic Gateway, and I am joined by Dale, who is currently residing up north in his van. So welcome, Dale. It's great to have you here and to have a chat. So we have an announcement this coming June solstice on Tuesday, the 21st of June at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Dale and I will be facilitating a June solstice transmission, and the theme for this one is very exciting. I know that I'm excited, Dale's pretty excited. It's the Sun and Earth integration for soul remembrance. So I will put the details in the description box below, and we'd love to have you come and join us for this very special occasion. And not only that, is when we're doing the transmission, it is actually will be at the time of the solstice. So it's very rare that they line up with the transmissions exactly, and this one just sort of happened to work. So welcome, Dale. Thanks for being here.
No worries. How
yeah, good. I mean, the contrast right now, we were just talking about how hot it is for you and how freezing it is for me. So I guess this transmission, did you want to talk just a little bit about like what you've tapped into and how that feels for you? Because I know this is something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, this is a big one for me. I'm excited, and I think you put in like the theme notes. Like I want to go like cut all the bullshit and go to like. Can you hear that ticking through? I need to close that. Hang on one sec. Yeah, all good. Yeah, of like what. Who are we? Like who and what are we? And what are we doing here? And what are we doing here now?
Mm.
And even this path or seeking of spiritual knowledge and spiritual enlightenment, like I think even that seeking it, at the moment you're seeking it, I think you're lost already.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I've been getting. I've been listening to nature more and getting out, and I think that's why I'm up here and it was just telling me that to like just be, and like because we're always seeking, we're always focused on the future. And I want to like even touch on in the thing about remembering the future, because we're already there. That the aspect of ourself has already integrated. So the theme of what I want to talk about is who and what we are. And then when this ties into the solstice being, well, you know, in the southern hemisphere is the low point of the sun or the death of the sun. But really, to me, it's like we can go into astrotheological things and all that. And I sort of want to steer away from that a bit and just actually look at what the relationship between us, the planet, the earth, and the sun, and what those beings, what they really, really are. Because what they really are holds the key to what we really are. And even that we always look external, you know, even in astrology or meditating or focusing on higher realms, and that these are all the connection and relationship and environment that we're in tells us who we are, and we have it all within. And even now, like you said, like it's freezing cold down here there, and yeah, but that's like, so that's your immediate environment. But we don't think, when we talk about environment, we don't think of solar environment, we don't think of galactic environment. Because like, so and a lot of these agendas that I've seen that are playing out and that have played out for what we call time, eons of time, and then we're hitting the end of this grand cycle here as we've compressed in. They're all the subjugation is to diminish our relationship with the planet, with the earth and the sun. So I don't want to give too much away, but like I think people that have heard me before will understand. I'll go through a bit of a journey of like of how and why we came into this universe, and that the sun and the earth have facilitated an experience for us to be here. That's a relationship we need to remember, because without them, we're not here.
Oh,
They gave birth to us being allowed to be, not allowed, they gave us the opportunity, facilitated the experience for us to come down and become humane beings, to experience yourself in all multidimensional nature put into one human embodiment. So it's about reconnecting with what those energies really are. And I'll touch on a bit of the dark stuff too. I've been looking a lot at feminism at the moment, and because this is good, because we could bounce. I'll shut up in a minute, but because you're pretty woo woo, right? And you go right out there, which is good. That's but I always look at how that force is playing out in the 3D realm, and the human experience. And one of the biggest controlling mechanisms and way that we see this subjugating force that is trying to sever our relationship with the planet and the sun is feminism, and particularly the neo-feminism of the last 20 years. And then now what we're seeing with the trans agenda, it's all about destroying that relationship, the sacred relationship between man and woman. And that relationship on the solar level is between the earth and the sun. All right, I'll shut up now.
No, there's really, really good points. I'm like, where do we go from here? Because I mean, we haven't done a recording in a while, and I've had a lot of people sort of ask me different questions, and about current energetic climate, what's going to transpire over the coming few weeks, months. But I just want to go back to the solstice itself, because when this download came through to collaborate with you and to do this particular transmission, it always comes through in a stream of consciousness for me. And generally it's like when I'm either in meditation or I'm connected in some way, and I thought, oh, okay, there's some big energy brewing here. And I always look at, like, I try and track time in a way of looking at, what happened 6 months ago at the last solstice, that can give us indication of what it's representing in this time, and so forth. And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh my goodness, like, we hung out last solstice, December, our summer solstice here in Australia. And and I was like, how fitting that we would be presenting this now, considering the theme of, when we were hanging out and we went to a couple of like very specific places. And now
let's say, Peter can tell people, we just went around. We kind of like had a plan, but we didn't really stick to it, did we? And we end up drawing like a perfect triangle on the map, didn't we?
It was all about the triangles back then, which I guess is the Trinity. And you're talking about, the sun and the earth giving birth to us, that, creates the third energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I also remember we did a recording around that time, and we were talking about like how it connects into the Queen, and like it's got me really curious, because there's been a lot of stuff, a lot of talk about the Queen, and sometimes when we get these sort of downloads and we think it's going to happen now, sometimes there is that delay to drop into the physical reality. Is there anything that you want to talk about that? I mean, we don't want to go into predictions, but we can.
Yeah, well, I've said that for a long time, because that's the whole point. What the dark occult does is they invert the solstice. It's not a negative. It's not a positive. It's just an energy, and but it can be manipulated. It can be used for many purposes. But it does tie into, and what I think they've done with the solstice, if they've made it the worship of Saturn subtly. So they've done that without knowing. And even in how they've inverted Christianity, because I'll actually talk about this in the thing, because we see a subjugator on every level. And the way to control humans throughout the way to control the universe throughout the compressions, you don't attack entire galactic systems or like the galactic core. You hit the human, and this is what we're saying. Is particularly what we're seeing now. What are we seeing? Attacks on the heart through the jabs, and because they're trying to get to the heart, this force is trying to get to the heart of the galaxy and beyond, to stop us severing our connection with source.
Yeah.
So you go for the human, and so I do see Saturn as a hijacked being. So if you looked at like a human being that was completely taken over by AI, that's what Saturn did, and there had to be some agreement there. So anyway, the point I'm getting to there is they use the solstice to invert the sun energy into the Saturnian energy, and you see this with movies like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. So the last movie is called Return of the King, which is that's solstice, right? That's when it begins to rise again too. So, and then it's quite interesting. It's the same with The Lion King. The Lion King movie is The Return of the King. Why is your thing keeps the...
I'm using a new web camera, and it's if I'm not in bright light, it has to focus.
Yeah, so like, predictions, like I said for a long time, I don't know if it's going to happen because it's like a week away, but like Prince William is the Sun King. He's born on solstice, and if you look into the story of what Diana said in her book, was William wasn't due to be born on the summer solstice, and he was born on the solstice to fit in line with Charles's polo playing program. That's the official story. So she was induced, and he was born on the solstice. And then I've read in other texts that William, you don't look at like William and Charles and Philip as different generations, but they're all brothers, right? In which they have breeders within these royal families. So William was there to take on a particular role, and they've said for a long time that Charles won't be king. They're going to skip Charles. So it would be extremely fitting if I'm not going to say it's going to happen on that date, but that energy that the dark occult might want to use to bring in the Sun King, but not the Sun, the Saturn King on that date, would be a way of twisting that, inverting that natural energy. But the thing is, there's other forces at work, so I don't know if that's meant to play out. And look, the Queen's not alive anyway, so it's a matter of how they want to play this ritual out, and when and how they do it. Because I'm seeing counter programming, like I've been telling you for a long time, there's counter programming going on all the time.
I mean, I was watching a podcast last night, Journey to Truth, and they were talking a little bit about that video of the Queen recently. I don't know.
Yeah, with the DNA, that's fucked up.
And
the third strand, wow.
And they brought up a really interesting point that I hadn't considered. I was like, oh, interesting. And they were saying that, like, in any sort of program, if there is an abuser, talking about SRA or SSP and all those sort of things, but like if there's an abuser and that abuser passes on and dies, that then frees the people who've been abused. And that's something it's been coming into my dreams recently about that, and so that's been a bit of a theme for me. Not directly.
So you're saying that could be a collective of people, not just well, that is true with abuse survivors, isn't it? That they tend to speak out or whatever, or start getting memories back after the abuser dies.
Correct. Yeah,
that's interesting. That's good on you. I think it's obviously going to be a big marker, and like in the scheme of things, does it really matter because she hasn't died? But there's yes and no for everything. It does matter. It's a big symbolic moment, and it will have big implications for this country. And they've already spoken about running a new referendum for the Republic, like they did back in, was it 96 or whatever? And that's a big twist too, because they know the Commonwealth is done. So it's like there's this race to who can capture Australia, because Australia's up for grabs, right? You've got global bodies, they obviously want to turn into another form of corporation, even away from the defunct crown. So, and that brings the tribal people in.
Yeah, that's
which right. we've said for years that holds a big key to the awakening, not only of this country but the planet. And then when I said if they're attacking the heart, and you look at Uluru as the heart too, so don't even look at Uluru as the heart of the earth. Look at it as the heart within you, and the heart within the galactic core as well.
Yeah.
So, and then like there is that, about the so like some of the tribal groups that were asking people to go to Uluru in July.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it could be fitting timeline around when the Queen dies, right? Too, if they're going, it seems like it's like everything is like really rushed. It's like it's got to happen quickly.
That's exactly. I was having a conversation with Nat.
Panic.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with Nat last night. We were all going all sorts of places and talking about energies, and I always love her perspective. And I did say to her at one point, I said, there is a real sense of urgency of things unfolding and unraveling, whether that's individually, but collectively, it feels like, and I know just from a personalized level, like me and so many other people have said, it's just relentless. It's like, you get through one obstacle or hurdle or energy or whatever, and then it's the next. And it's kind of been a lot of people at that sort of level of exhaustion, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because I think when you get to that point of exhaustion, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah. And that's the point that has to come. I listen to freaking 107 sometimes, and he always talks these biblical stories and shit. Right? What's he talk? I don't even know. It's like he taught the book of Job, right? And these people keep coming at him. What was he saying? Like one person comes to deliver bad news, and before they can even finish, the next one comes in. And that's just like breaking you down to the point where it's like, I don't give a fuck I don't care anymore. Which is that's when you stand up. That's when you hold your sovereignty.
Yep.
But this is everyone talks about sovereignty, and I think the main one now, and this is what the point of this transmission is, because I want people to remember who they are. It's like, we are so fucking, not even so powerful. We are the most, it's beyond comprehension what we are capable of because of what we are. We're universal beings. We're walking universes.
Yes.
We hold everything. And so what was I going to say? I was going, I've lost my train of thought now.
Well,
the other thing though, when you're tapping into stuff like that and you've got a real good flow and then something comes in, what do you see that as too? Because that happens a lot too. And that's, to me, that's almost like that's something coming in and overriding it. Do you look at that in that way?
Yep.
So I had a really good point there, and then it's just like, it's cut, right?
And sometimes it can be interference, and sometimes it's just like the higher self taking over and going, not yet.
Oh, no, I know what it is now. No, so what else? Because we always talk about sovereignty, and this fucking triggers me a lot too, because you get people talking about sovereignty that are just still stuck within belief programs, and the main sovereignty we need is spiritual sovereignty, and that is remembering who you are, and that is not giving your power over to anything, because what is there to give your power over to when you're a universal being? Give your power over to what you are. You are a walking universe. You are connected to the creator and beyond the creator. You are the creator of your own realities, in which other beings come in to explore your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know if this is like far-fetched shit for other people, but I'm going to put this in the presentation. I want to put it into a very simple way for people to understand what we are and why there's this attack on humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of how important we are. And then, like, I guess after, and then we're both going to run the transmission, aren't we? And just for people to have that, once they've got that embedded within them, and if they don't get it straight away, that's fine. Just like feel it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, hopefully people can get a good experience out of that. Because like for me, when I came to this realization, this knowing, there was like, there's never been a bigger moment for me. And I'm not saying I know it all, but like for this, I know for a fact that I'm infinite and that I'm a universal being.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is power within itself. And I know that throughout my journey, when I've come into those realizations of like, just to give an example, like I could be really worried about a certain thing, you know, and you go into that state of fear. And then I call myself and I'm like, hang on, are you forgetting who you are? Like,
yeah, you've got to remind yourself too.
like, so insignificant. But
there's daily practice too, where you can just look yourself in the mirror. Like I always say, like, why did I choose this? And then I'm infinite, right? Even the worst fucking experience, you go, why did I choose this? Because it strips away the ego that there's a higher plan.
Yeah.
And then it also, then you start thinking, do I have free will? And I don't have free will.
I mean, I think I always say controversial comments because I always say that I don't believe in free will. I believe in divine will and my own divine will that I wrote and created. But from this, you know.
Yes. Yeah, so it's free will. That's what I mean. It's free will on that level, but you're playing out and you don't really have free will. But
on a human level, I don't. Yeah.
No. Yeah. But you still have the illusion of free will. You can still make choices now, but it's the Matrix scene. It's like the choice was already made. You came here to decide. You came here to find out why you made the choice, and that's what I'll talk about too. This, why did we come here? To express your entire everything you've been, done, and seen in the universe into one forming in the cycle. And you know, I've seen like the last week, I just like driving up the mountains up here. I've never said "whoa" like out loud more in my life. Like I just go to these places, I'm just like, whoa. No, it's absolute magic. And this is what I was talking to you yesterday too. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, the diversity of life on this planet. And I mean, like, this is only one small area of the world. It's like one tiny pocket, and just the diversity of life up here. And then compared to, like, this planet holds so much diversity because it's a compressed fractal. It holds everything in the universe into one. That's what the Earth is.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She really is beautiful.
Yeah, think of like the sacrifice that she's made to come down and to contract to play that role. Think of that.
Yeah, that's going to stop me complaining about my own soul contracts if I take that into perspective.
Yeah, but like you've probably already done it, or maybe you will.
Yeah, maybe that's, yeah.
You know,
it's such interesting concepts to ponder, and there's such truth to it. You know, especially when you speak, I can feel myself light up because it illuminates something within me that is truth. And you know, I think that's what you're really good at, Dale, is that when you are able to tap into these like streams of consciousness and information because of who you are and the connection that you have, it sparks an illumination in others of their own remembrance. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it's like you can get there to where you start remembering who other people are. Like like you and me are fucking like, man, we've known each other we've been through like a lot of shit.
Yeah,
haven't we?
We go.
And I think this is at the core, not to make it about us, but this is at the core of like kind of what we're about to, because we did this we did a ceremony last year on our summer solstice, didn't we? It was kind of meant to be.
Yeah, it was quite spontaneous, and I don't know, I felt the power and the ripple effect of that, and I feel like that intention, and I'm sure that many other people did that around the same time because of these, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But I think, you know, when you put a powerful intention like that and you're doing it in a collaboration, the ripple effect, you know. So, and I mean, that was amazing. You led me through that. That was cool. So here you're going to do it for other people.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to do that again this time. It'll probably be something pretty similar, but I'll just go.
Well, I also find it interesting because I think we included in that, we were talking about like the distorted masculine and feminine, you know, the inverted, and like acknowledging the role that they have played. And I've heard through a lot of recent stories of people's experiences that there is like this highlighting of the toxicity and those distortions that are coming to light, like whether it's people's dynamics of relationships, and, you know, the one that was suppressing the other is now kind of being exposed. And there's a lot of that sort of playing out individually. And I mean, there's so many themes that I've been observing recently, you know, and a lot of it around sort of abuse and things like that. And I think, wow, if this is happening now in pockets of people's experiences, wait till we get to Scorpio season. Like what is going to transpire on the world scale by then? It kind of makes me feel, I don't want to say excited because that's probably not the right word, but I guess excited for humanity.
You could be excited about.
Yeah, well, it makes me look really dark, but you know.
I mean, things like seeing things manifest in real life, like we are seeing the dismantling of the transgender agenda, right? Which is the AI agenda, which is this distortion on all levels, and a dismantling of the eugenics program that's really like strongly kicked off in the 60s, which just changed all the gender roles and what, you know, they've through the intelligence agencies and stuff have embedded thoughts which has played out in actions, the way that women look at men, the way that what women desire men to be, and then because they've used women because they are a large part of the creative source to construct a new reality that they want, and that's about destroying the true man too. I listened to this one the other day. They call it the lumber sexual, right? So it's like they'll talk about like that men, you know, they deep in their core want to be this masculine man kind of thing too, but through the social engineering and stuff, that through women being pushed to not desire that's where you got the metrosexuals with the beard and stuff. But and masculinity isn't about like fucking strength for that. It's a man that knows what is right and wrong, and that will stand to protect that. And then they've trained the woman to not desire that type of man, and then that constructs a different type of man. And it's real, like the real masculine is a moral and that's a desire for truth and the opposite of ignorance. And like
oh, hang on a second. Dale's internet has, I'm just going to pause. Sorry about that, everyone. That was a little bit of a glitch in the technology matrix. So we're back. And I want to pick up where we left off. But you were talking about eugenics, and you were talking about the role reversals and things like that. But I have something I want to run past you on that topic, Dale. And I don't know if I've asked you this before, but I was pondering it. I mean, I think I watched your stories I'm like, oh, I can see what, tangent Dale's onto.
Yeah, I start on one tangent and then it's a theme for a couple of days and I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah. And I watch and I observe. And so, when you think about like, okay, where do I want to go with this? So if we're talking like higher dimensional beings, right? I believe, or how I understand it is, when you get to a higher realm, there's genderless, it's androgynous, it's one being that possesses a masculine and feminine energy. It doesn't have a specific gender like we do down here, right? And potentially it's that way because it's closer to, I don't know, but I'm just observing that concept of how in a more organic state it is androgynous. So the power of having a balanced internal masculine and feminine, this is coming back to the transmission, I guess. But then when you look at the inversion and the synthetic and the AI that is trying to make, it's trying to mimic that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's, where you're talking, the trans sort of thing, when you're talking at the level that, I guess, that we're all, we're light being, we're universal beings, right? That's what I was saying before. That's a being at that level that it's integrated all aspects of itself.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So that's why it is androgynous. It's not even it's not even form, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's 100% right. That's how I see it. Is like the artificial or the AI or whatever you want to call it is a mimicker. So it's trying to mimic the creator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Glad I ran that one past you. It's been on my mind for a while.
Yeah, but it's obviously with its own twists of reality too. But it's and that's kind of why if you think an androgynous being to create that in 3D, it's trying to create like an AI god being instead of us being beings of the creator in human form. They're trying to make us beings of the synthetic creator in human form, right? As an androgynous AI.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. I mean, and I think that really loops back around in terms of like this transmission and looking at doing this sort of balance of masculine and feminine energies and taking in, the sun as a being and the earth as a being, masculine and feminine, because I truly believe, and I'd like your thoughts on this before we wrap up, because I'm scared there's going to be another technical glitch. The power in the unification of masculine and feminine that we possess and hold within us, and what we're capable of doing when we're able to master that and balance that within ourselves. I guess, in my opinion, that creates then creational energy, or it creates a trinity energy. It creates a powerful manifestational tool to create, whether it's life, whether it's a child, whether it's projects, whether it's realities, whatever it is, to the individual. I don't know what my question was.
No, but you're like, if you look again at this force, and particularly what it's done through feminism, is it's tried to create a wedge. It creates divisions in all forms of society. But one of the biggest ones is the wedge between men and women. And even if you're talking in sexual terms, they say like we're in an overtly sexual society. It's actually repressively sexual. And people are having less sex and less intimate sex than any point in history. And there's data to show that. So it's like there's an obsession with sex, but not an obsession with actually the act of doing it. And that's a distortion creeping in, and that's because of how they've you know what I'm saying, that's how they've twisted it.
I'm like, oh, now you're going to get me on my roll.
I don't even look at it as an act of like sex as creation and stuff like that too. If we're talking about humanity coming together as sovereign beings, that fucking wedge of freaking men and women and black and white and all that, but particularly men and women, the divide there. It's going, and this isn't something that's going to go back into balance very quickly. It'll be like the stages of grief and the realization of, fuck man, like all the thoughts that I've had and like dogmatic belief systems that people have about culture and society and what a woman should do, and people
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, feminists that think they're expressing what a true woman is, and they're actually the complete fucking opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And then once those thoughts are stripped away, that then there's like, then you start behaving differently. But this is going to be a long process of healing that,
Yeah.
you know, it's not just this lifetime that
Well,
this has occurred.
I think when you're talking about that, I think about my work, and I've been very actively in the space of supporting people through conscious partnerships for a long time. And
Yeah,
like,
that's your thing.
and that is like hard yakka. Oh God, I sound so Aussie, cringe. Like that is a very brutal, hard path for a lot of people that, you know, I have worked with for many, many years in bridging and what it is bridging the gap, the separation between a man and a woman, or, you know, two conscious beings that are trying to unify and come together in a connection for the betterment of humanity, and the obstacles and hoops and the programming, you know, and the traumas and the, you know, it's yeah.
And like, it's been a full-fledged attack. Like I said, this the eugenics program, and that's why we're seeing population rates start to decline. Is that's a big part of the eugenics program, is create that separation.
Yeah.
And that all ties back into the same force in the artificial intelligence that doesn't want human connection. If you've seen the movie Demolition Man, in the future, where they're not allowed to have sex because there was this virus in the past that wiped out all the people, and they have virtual sex. And this, I'm telling you, this is where they wanted to go with this metaverse stuff, that everything's done in a virtual way and that there is no human contact.
And I mean, just think about it. And I mean, people
I think, like, how much do they want us separated? You got to think of that. That ties in again to like why we're so important, that they have to keep us separated, because that force of that unity is like, they are fucking, that force is terrified of that. It is so fucking terrified that it's having to create and wants to create a virtual reality, and for us to become cyborgs, because it's terrified of the unity of men and women coming together, which is the sun and the earth coming together.
And oh my goodness, you're talking about okay, two things that come to mind as you're talking about that, and I'm sure everyone can relate to when they've been in the presence of a connection, whether that be romantic or, you know, it doesn't matter, but when you're in the presence of a soul connection, how powerful and empowering that is when you come together physically and you can feel each other's energy and the energy exchange that happens. You feel invincible. Like, so imagine that not just in two people, but like many, right? That is a force. The
other one too is like, you think about like times of happiness and sadness, you're like, well, fuck, you know, like, I'm pretty happy all the time, but like, when have you felt real joy, like actual joy? That's like, I see a planet of 7 billion and close to 7 billion that don't experience real joy and don't know what joy is.
Actually,
and I haven't had fleeting moments of it. But do you know when my real joys come, even on this trip, is like just the window down, just driving on the road. But even like I was thinking yesterday, just breathe, like how fresh the air is up in the mountains. That's like joy. And that's, again, that's not chasing enlightenment or anything. It's just like, just fucking be there and just enjoy it. And like, this is the best experience you're ever going to have. To be like, we're here at the end of the cycle, we're actually going to, we have the opportunity to integrate all aspects of ourselves in this lifetime. But that shouldn't even be a pursuit either. Just let it happen. Just like trust and know.
Thank you for bringing that up, because last week in several of my sessions, that particular thing came up in many different people from all different places around the world, was that they felt that they lacked joy and they were wanting to reconnect with the energy of joy. And I think that's a huge one. Yeah.
Then you're chasing joy too. You can't, like, you're trying to chase joy. You're like, oh, well, I need to do this. I need to fucking find a girlfriend. I need to, like, get these things, or I need to pursue all these spiritual practices. No, it's like, you're never gonna find it. It's like, again, I think it goes back to that natural law thing. Is like, knowing what's right and what's wrong. And the thing that makes you really happy is when you know you're doing what's right.
Yeah.
And the rest, not that I'm a fucking expert on on joy, but yeah, like, do you think I do contradict myself in, like, what I say and what I know and what I do sometimes, but I still know.
Yeah.
I'm not like preaching to anyone. I'm like this. I'm fucking living. I'm a living example. I'm not at all. But it's like I do know these things, and then just fucking be.
Yeah, beautifully said, Dale. Thank you so much for your wise words and wisdom that comes.
This will be a good one. This one.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Thank you for another beautiful collaboration again. Please join us if you feel guided. As I mentioned earlier, the link to sign up is in the description box. Come and hang out with Dale and myself for an hour and a half on June solstice and enjoy, the energies and frequencies. I mean, when we spoke yesterday on the phone, I could already feel the energy coming through you. And I was getting all like buzzy and excited.
I was getting all these insights up in the bush, and I was like, fuck, man. Yeah.
So and that's what, even though it's, remotely or via, video conference, we're still connecting energetically to create that unity. So that's important too. So come along. Thank you, Dale. Thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully we can come back soon and do another video, because I think there's so much to talk about of, what's happening, and I'd like to pick your brain on a video. So let's do that sometime soon when you get a chance.
Absolutely.
All right.
See you on solstice.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.